2. Well, good morning. We're just a little bit late this morning. Another little computer glitch that fortunately I was able to solve fairly quickly. So good morning, good afternoon, whichever applies to your situation. And welcome to the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. This morning we're going to talk about choosing clients that are great to work with. So, as usual, I think it's a good idea for us to begin with some introductions. So, instead of going with the first person, let's start with the last person. So, Fred, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you very much, LowellAnn. I'm Fred Jones, the creator of Our Future Leaders, where we assist young people to gain communication and leadership skills that assist them to become the leaders that our world needs. I've been busy. You can see my background's different. I'm now looking after 4 dogs, some of them lying on the floor right next to me here. And I've also been called out to the call center for the evacuees from some of the wildfires that are going on in British Columbia. So I spent a few shifts on answering phone calls, not only from evacuees, but other people associated with the wildfires. So I did this in 2017, and they've certainly learned a lot of lessons from then and have improved their call center enormously compared to what it was like in 2017. I'm laughing because there was no call center. It was just a phone on a desk, and it was chaos.
And so is there a phone center now?
Yep, they have a room with phones and screens, and we can look up information and do lots of stuff we couldn't do in 2017. We didn't even have a map on the wall, and somebody would phone and say, I'm somewhere. I said, where's that? There's so many towns. I don't even know where you're talking about. Now, at least I can look up on a map and say, where's it near? Oh, it's near Kamloops or somewhere, and then I can see. But didn't even have a map on the wall. I went to the Automobile Association, got a map of British Columbia the very next day and said, I got to find out where these people are. It was what an exercise that was.
Right. Well, I'm so pleased that you're doing that, Fred. Things are not wonderful in British Columbia right now.
Well, according to the map this morning, we have 305 wildfires at the moment.
Oh, God. And you know what? We can't afford to lose any more trees.
Well, 305, it was 100 and something about a week ago. It's now 305.
And you'd think that you know, it's people being careless, but it's
lightning.
It's lightning. So this is something that can't be controlled. Yeah.
And it self-perpetuates. The weather gets bad from the fires, and it makes more lightning. And there's more fires.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's bizarre. Yeah. So I'm glad you're doing that, Fred. That's good. Right on. So Vivek, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Namaste. My name is Vivekanand. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said, simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. I aim to bring time-tested wisdom and happiness together into your business and life by unifying, simplifying, and amplifying simple technology and tools. Wake Technology is my company. Together, let us wake up our potential. I am in England, UK. Weather has been really good. And yeah, we were just moments ago talking about impact of climate change and all that. I heard on the news that the grocery chain that I go to for my job, they have started promoting strawberries which are grown in a certain way, and the news item really puzzled me. It was like saying they are trying to reduce the carbon print. But what I didn't understand is when it comes to strawberries and plants, plants absorb carbon dioxide and produce the
Mm.
food that we eat. So they're saying they're giving less input to the plant and get more output out of the plant. So how is that carbon neutral? I couldn't understand, but anyway.
Well, we certainly do know here that our forests are really, really, really important.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, you can see that I changed my screen because Vivek and I have been working on something that I thought would be interesting for us to talk about. But first, I need David to introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Dave Flannery with Affordable Websites for Small Businesses in Rock Falls, Illinois. You can contact me at 815-440-0846. We are broadcasting on YouTube and the website. And Javita says hello to everybody. Says good morning to everybody. She forgets that Vivek is in England. It's evening there, isn't it? Or
Supper time.
Yeah, supper time.
Yeah.
It is evening, yes. 5
Yeah.
o'clock.
Well, greetings, Javita. Come and join us if you want to. So
I'm saying that in good fun. I'm not trying to embarrass her.
no, right. So you can see that Vivek and I have both changed our banners because we're working on something on the website for courses, which will be posted shortly. We've been working the last few days. We've we've been doing a few mini courses that are for things that people need to know how to do in order to make their development of their own courses run more smoothly, let's say. So the little mini course that we're working on right now is how to embed all the Google products. So that is, and it is part of what you need to do if you're creating an online course of your own. So that's what we're working on right now. And what else? I think that's enough about me. We're working on something. So let's get to our conversation this morning. David, I think it was you who suggested this topic, was it not? Choosing clients that are great to work with? You're muted.
I strongly believe in doing that you just don't take everybody, because if you take everybody, you end up with problems. And I do extensive talking to my clients before they sign up with portable websites, and I make sure that we're going to be a good fit. I had two from wealthy affiliates that were coming on, and one of them was a great fit, and the other one, well, she seems to not be getting her work done. So that's kind of gone by the wayside. Still may come back, but I don't think it's going to be that good of a fit for me. And I've had a few other people that were very demanding, and I respond very quickly to anybody that needs something changed on their website. I don't wait. I don't, but I don't want to be dealing with someone that's calling me every other day or every day saying that this is wrong and I want this changed and I need it now. And, that believe that you're there for them only, and that there is no other clients that
I want this blue to be a bit more blue than it is now.
yeah.
That's
And
the
then the
kind of
next day I
demand.
need it to be yellow. And then the next day I need it to be pink with purple polka dots.
Yeah. Well, when you speak about doing extensive talking in the coaching world, we always gave a complimentary sample session, and so it was very easy to tell. The sample session usually was divided into two sections. The first one was a half-hour sample of the coaching process, and then the second half was answering any questions that they might have. And so that was always really, really helpful to, because in the coaching world, there has to be kind of a good personality fit for it to work. So so that was one thing. But one of the things that I noticed over my years of coaching is if the person's very first question was, how much does this cost, I knew it was not going to work, because that person was in a position of not understanding the importance of, the personality fit, etc. So I knew as soon, if the person wanted to talk money first before anything else, I knew that was not going to be a good fit. So, but I thought we can talk about negative clients, but I felt like I wanted us to turn that around and talk about the best clients we've ever had. What are the characteristics of the best clients we've ever had? And I thought that would be much more instructive for anybody who might watch this later, because we all find ourselves in a position to be a good to be a client or a customer. So what can we learn from our observations of a good client? Seemed to make better sense to me, rather than going on and on about the negative client. So can you describe the best client you ever had?
Well, I can. Go ahead, Fred, if you want to go ahead. This new client that I have for a website, she's just great. She's very patient. She tells me what she wants. She tells me when I have freedom to do what I want, and lets me do my job. She sometimes is very specific, and if she wants something, I go ahead and give it to her, and I may give her a little advice, and she sometimes listens and sometimes don't. Gets totally, and then I do what she wants. But she's never asked for anything outrageous or anything that would be really adverse to her business. So, and if it was, I would still do it. I mean, it's what they want and whatnot. So she's very, and she does what, I say, okay, I need the content, and she writes it out. She gives it to me on time. Again, it's written well, and I'm able to post it, and it works. She's just been great to work with.
Mm-hmm. Right. So she's clear about what she wants, and she is good at telling you what she wants, but she also reciprocates and gives you what you need in order for you to do your job. Yeah.
Correct. And she's also clear about what she doesn't find important to her, and that I can make the decision on
Hmm.
what
Okay.
that portion of it.
Okay.
And so I mean, that can be important because sometimes people think something's really important, but they don't like to speak up.
Hmm.
And sometimes people, you know, uh, fuss about stuff that's not important. I mean, she goes right down right where we need it to be. The things
Mhm.
that I can
Mm.
design and do on my
Mhm.
own is, and she's very happy with what I've done on my
Probably,
own.
probably because she's tried doing it herself. And
Actually, her husband has tried doing it
oh.
for her, and it's, I get along with people very easily, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really want to do what they want. I
Mhm.
don't want to force them to do something, but trying to get their ideas of what they want out of them sometimes is very difficult. And it was not difficult with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went right to it. It was like having stuff up off the fold. She didn't care whether she had her information above the fold. Well, I made sure she did because that's
That's
very important.
important. Yeah.
Because a lot of the websites that she was looking at, that information, it's unbelievable how many local websites I review and look at that have the information that people need to be able to tell them where they're at, how to get a hold of them, is all the way down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if
Yeah.
you haven't sold them from the top down, you're in trouble because they're gone.
Yeah.
If they're just looking for a phone number, you
Mhm.
want to give it to them. If they're looking for the address, you want to give it to them right away.
Mhm.
And she listened very well to that, and
Right
uh,
on. Oh.
then she was very specific about what she wanted for fonts. She chose them out herself,
Mm.
and that that worked. And the colors, she chose the colors, and they worked. And it,
Mm.
most of the time, people already have their colors. She's starting a new business, and she hadn't had her colors yet, and she hadn't even really thought about it until I talked to her. Okay, we need to have,
Mhm.
colors and so forth
Yeah.
and so on. And she she did she did a very quick job of it, and she did a quick study on it, and found that to be very important to her. So it
Mhm.
worked out really well.
Mm. Right on. So what about you, Fred? Can you describe your best client?
I've got a couple examples because I was running my own business for many years as a recruiter.
Mhm.
And that is a very challenging job in my estimation because you're trying to match two sides, not only the
Mhm.
client who's looking for someone,
Mhm.
but someone who's looking for a position. So there's a lot of matchmaking there. And the matchmaking can be very challenging if your client, who is actually the person who's hiring, doesn't tell you what they want. And so it's all about communication. And that was often the case. In fact, more than it should have been, in my opinion, was people would just say, you can probably hear the dog barking
Yeah.
outside. Anyway, and I can't tell him to be quiet, so we're going to have to.
It's all right.
Anyway, it's so what we have to do is try. It's like pulling teeth sometimes when people say, "What do you want this person to do?" So I can find it, and that was the norm, in fact. However,
Mhm.
I did have one client who came and expressed exactly what he wanted in his salespeople. He was selling technology in different offices across Canada. And he was wonderful to work with because he let me told me what he wanted, and I found what he wanted. And every time he wanted someone, he said, okay, I need another person in Edmonton now. And
Mhm.
profile. It was so nice to work with him because, first of all, he told me what he needed. I found
Mhm.
what he needed, and he trusted that I could do that.
Mhm.
It's all this communication, and it's always a fit.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you another example if you want, which was totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I was selling project management software over the internet, and I had a lady in New York who used our product, and she was the very first person, if something wasn't right, she would phone, and I'm sure she would annoy a lot of clients, or sorry, suppliers, because she didn't take, if it wasn't right, she would let you know. But I appreciated that. And I said to her, you're one of my best customers, because if it's not right, we should know it's affecting other customers too. And she became such a fan of us, because if it was, she was like the canary in the gold mine. If you had put something up and changed something on your website or on your product, she would pick up the phone and say, hey, you're affecting me. And it was genuine. She wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say thanks, because a few days later, if you hadn't been fixed, other people would come. But she was always the first one to notice, because she was using the product. And
Mm-hmm.
she wrote very great testimonials, because we fixed the things she wanted as quickly as we could. So there was another example. Some people would say, oh, she's a pain. Well, she wasn't.
No.
If you really come down to it, she was just communicating that we're causing her problems because the software is not working the
Mm-hmm.
way it needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was two examples. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all about communication, and eventually you build trust with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and you trust them that they know what they want, and they trust you that you can find or do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the two examples I can think of off the top.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Thank you, Fred. Vivek, what about you? Can you describe a good client?
Yeah, certainly one who knows what he or she wants. The other aspect I would say is not someone who is not hung up on the way that needs to be achieved. The how it is achieved should be left to whoever is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If they try to tell you do this way, then that way, and that way, then trying to micromanage will mean that you won't do what you are good at, and always second guessing what the other person is going to say, and that's not a good relationship. So the how should be left to whoever is the expert.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and the things that have been mentioned already, some of them because I made a list when I was preparing for this morning. So could I make a list of my best customer? So the first thing that and my customers were coaching clients. So the best I had were those that came to our sessions prepared. And they also those that were ready to make a commitment for a period of time. In other words, not approaching this whole thing as a jump in, jump out again, quick thing, because that's not how coaching works. So they were people who were ready to make a commitment for a finite period of time. The other good clients would be like if we were talking about something, we were working on something, when the coaching finished, they went and finished what we were working on. So there was that sort of completion. Then I wrote down, is really clear on his or her needs. They know what they need. And I also wrote down fulfills agreements, and I was thinking more about website development. There's nothing worse trying to create a website for somebody who doesn't fulfill their end of the bargain. Like they don't come back with the content. So that was a really good thing. But then I started thinking and going a little bit deeper. And so I wrote down, says what she or he thinks and feels. Is able to sort of, in other words, I guess that is a trust level, being able to go there, to what you honestly think or what you honestly feel. Another one is one that responds immediately to invoices. I mean, there's really nothing worse than trying to work with somebody that you have to chase for the money.
I have more problems with. I have a couple of people set up on automatic payments through PayPal, which works great.
Yeah.
Others, I don't necessarily have to chase money. I just have to remember to request the money by giving them an invoice, which is a royal pain for me.
Yeah,
they usually pay me right away, but I just, I have to remember on the first that I got to send the invoice. Last month, one of my clients, he actually paid me on the 26th, and I gave him the invoice on the 1st, which was, I always, well, I don't always get them on the 1st, but try to, and it was nice receiving the payment early.
Oh, paid you before you mean he paid you before you sent the invoice. All right.
You got it. He's another good client. He's really good, though he tends to not give me as much of what I want to be able to make his business work better on the internet. I end up having where if he gives me the emails of his clients, I put them in a software that automatically sends them an email that requesting that they give us feedback on the website. And then if they give us good feedback, then there's another automatic email that is sent that asks for a Google review and a Better Business review. And if they give us a bad review, then we go back and try and fix what went wrong.
Is that Basecamp you're using?
No, that is Jay's software for doing reviews.
Oh, right on. Well, that was a couple more things. You've raised a couple more things that I wrote down. First of all, really great client, refers me to other people. And they provide testimonials. And sometimes a great client keeps coming back. So, is ready to stay in touch at least. Is not, if my efforts to stay in touch, they don't respond as though it's an imposition sort of thing. They appreciate the efforts to stay in touch. And they don't necessarily interpret that as me, trying to hustle more work. It's just staying in touch, because we created a relationship. Yeah.
I just got in touch with my client, and we're actually meeting tomorrow to go over things, and it's not to drum up more business. It's just to make sure that everything's working right, and find out how her business is going, and if there's anything else I can do to help her. Sounds like she's doing real well. Her business is taking off, which is great.
Yeah, that's good. So when I said that the client comes to the session prepared, in the coaching world, I always sent them a form for them to fill in that asked them, help them think through and be specific about what they wanted to wanted to work on. The best clients always filled those in, had them in the day before so that I had time to look at what they were doing, and also being able to sort of think through what sort of support I might be able to provide. So so when that happened, I mean, what we achieved together was just amazing. Yeah. So that's asking a lot, but it is asking a lot of clients, because a lot of clients, I suppose there are people who just want things done for them, and they don't see it as kind of a give and take. It's moving both ways. Yeah. So getting back to when you're approached by somebody, is there any one specific thing that you would watch for? I mean, I've already shared mine. If all they want to know is how much it is, I know there's no point in going any further. But I was just wondering whether there were other telltale signs.
I think people, I mean, this is from I'm not going to probably quote him exactly, but from Simon Sinek,
Mm-hmm.
who said that people buy whatever you do, but they buy it for why you do it.
Good point. Yeah.
We need to, in my view, we need to find out why they want to do whatever they want to do, and
Mm-hmm.
does that at least in some way match with your why?
Mm-hmm.
If it does, it's a good match.
Yeah. It's interesting that you would say that. Before we started broadcasting here, we were talking about a weight loss program that I've been checking out called Noom, Noom, and that's the first thing they ask you to do, is sit down and journal why it is that you want to do, why you want to lose weight, and what if you do, what kind of what will that look like in the future. That was the first thing that they asked for. Yeah. So Fred, I mean, you are absolutely right. It really is all about communication, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. But you did emphasize something that I think is important as well, as knowing what it is that you want or need, and being able to be specific about it. Yeah. And sometimes in the coaching world, I mean, they can usually talk about what's not working. Sometimes they have difficulty saying what they do want. They know what they don't want often, and so it takes a bit of skill to help them turn that around and figure out what it is they do want. Yeah. Because there's really it doesn't carry forward very well to focus on the negative part. If you want, if we want to achieve things, we have to focus on the positive. I think, anyway. That's been my experience. Yeah. So, any other ideas or comments about being a good client, or spotting the good clients? Guess no. Yeah, go ahead, David.
I know one that I do when I spot a bad client, and it goes back to your money. If it's not so much of money being that they don't want to pay the amount. It's that they base everything off of money.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're basing everything off of money, then it's very difficult to work with. Um, you know, they're getting into. I offer a very cheap service,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're not willing to pay me in advance, um, then you know
Mm-hmm.
it's not. We're not going to work out
Mm-hmm.
most likely. So
David, you don't provide cheap services. You provide services that are good value for money.
that's true. You're
Why are you
correct.
cheapening yourself
That's a
by
nice
saying you provide?
upgrade. A nice upgrade.
Why are you saying that you are providing cheap services? No, that's the wrong way to put it.
Good coaching, Vivek. Good coaching. Well, if we have nothing more, Fred, would you like the last word? You know darn well I'm going to ask you for the last word.
And I appreciate you asking. And I think just to reinforce what Vivek said, that was very intuitive, Vivek, about he has his name right there. He has a very affordable services.
Mm-hmm.
It's right in his name. It's certainly not cheap. I don't think he would want to say cheap websites for small businesses. That would not work. But affordable is definitely attractive. But well done, Vivek. And the other thing I like what Vivek said as well is why. Because that was the challenge I had when I was recruiting. Why do you want this person? What is it that you need them to do? And most people would not answer that. They would say, oh, I just need a technician or a sales manager. But why do you want this? And they wouldn't. And why is a very powerful question. I mean, from Simon Sinek. And if they cannot tell you why and what they're trying to achieve, how can you really help them? They don't know. Or they may know, but they don't really, they've never thought of it. You know, if you just think, oh, I need a sales manager, you used to come on, well, what is it you want them to do? Have you got current customers or don't you have? Do they have to grow or do they have to maintain? It's a totally different person.
Mm-hmm.
No, I want a sales manager, but why do you want it? What is it you want them to do? It's like your website. Why do you want a website? What do you want to do? Why do you need this program? Why do you want this training?
Mm-hmm.
And it comes back to, I think, the two things. Communication, are they willing to work with you? And is there respect? Now, I don't know if this is relevant, but I think it may be. Yesterday, my daughter phoned me from Australia, and she said that my granddaughter is sort of lost in life. She doesn't know what she's doing, and she explained why, and which I can relate to. But the thing is, she said, well, maybe you could talk to someone. And she spoke to this someone, it's not but anyway, I really don't know. It's not a coach, but he has psychological background, but he's not. Anyway, the point was, he said to her, when my daughter was interviewing him as maybe he's a fit for my granddaughter, was not everybody suits everyone. He said, you have people who can help, whereas other people can help certain people. It was like in salespeople, certain web developers, certain software developers. You can work with others. It's got to do with personality as well. So there's a lot of elements here that are very relevant to what is a good customer. What is good customer for one person may not be a good one for others, because there's a match, a personality match, a communication match, and they can respect each other. So that's important. You have to find that element as well. It's not just as Dave said, pay money and you get what you need. No, it's a much more complex relationship, and it is a relationship, like any relationship.
It is.
So
it is.
So it's a matter of, maybe I'm not the right person for you, but there probably is someone who is right. guess it's like a marriage too.
Right. For sure.
Anyway, it's a great topic, because if you're talking to solopreneurs, it's a very relevant topic for anyone who's looking to grow a business. Is how do I work with it? And I like the questionnaire, even with pet sitting. I have about 4 pages
Do you?
of paper. Oh yeah.
Cool.
I'm just grabbing this. This is what all the questions I have if you want me to look after your pet.
Ah,
I have to know
wow.
everything.
Wow.
That's what this lady filled in,
Yep.
because I'm looking after her pets. I have to know, I have to know what happens, what does she want?
Yes.
What does she need?
Absolutely.
And what are the pets? And if something happens while she's away, who do I contact? So that's important too, just by pet sitting. Anyway, that's the paper that's on my desk to tell me what I need to do.
Tell you what you need to do, right? Right on. David, are you waving because you want to say something?
Well, no, I want to speak for Javita. She's added a couple comments. Thank you. But when we want to buy a program or buy a service, the first thing we want to know how much money it costs. And I think it's okay. It's one thing to ask how much money it costs. It's another thing to dwell on it and make it an issue. That's where we get into trouble. The other thing is the other comment is, I agree with Frank.
Fred.
Should be Fred, yes. You should have a respect for the person you are working with. And that is very true too. So.
Well, let's go back to that cost thing, because I'm speaking as a consumer now. I do appreciate when I'm doing my research, I do appreciate knowing at least a range or whatever, because it might, whatever this service or product might be, it may be way outside my budget area. And so that's kind of not what we're talking about here. I think it's more, it's all about the money, and it's not about anything else, kind of thing. I think is what we're trying to do, because we do all need to know roughly. And I might say that when I used to do the coaching complimentary session, I mean, during that last half hour, the question of cost would come up, and if they didn't raise it, I would, because it's about putting everything on the table. So yeah.
And I mean, when you compare the prices, you need to be aware of the other aspect. You typically get what you pay for. If you go for a lowest price product, then the quality won't be that good. So it has to be a balance.
Yeah, you need to know what you're asking for or what you need. It's a good balance. All right, I think we've covered the topic. Gee, we're finished early for a change. And thank you for your input, gentlemen. I appreciate that. And I will just remind everyone that it's important to do what you love with passion, and to let you know that next week's topic will be staying in touch with your clients. So having said that, I will push the Alt 4 button and do the outro.